Self-knowledge allows you to be the best version of yourself, and it allows you to shine your light so brightly into the lives of others. Welcome. Glad to have you in our world, in our richer retailer world. On last Monday, on September 15th, we dropped a podcast that was about this new vision I have for our business and for you, and the team is excited about it. And we sent out an email about this. Wait, what? You don't get our emails? Listen, just DM me your email address and I'll make sure that you get it. We only send out good ones, really. We work very hard at it. And now Chris, our podcast producer, is writing the emails on Monday. So you also get to hear from Chris, and you're going to be able to hear from more of our geniuses. Oh my gosh, our mavens on our team are just amazing. They're so great. But back to you. So that podcast you really should listen to for a couple reasons. One is that the information that I shared, this vision, has been on my heart for a while. And I share about how I was super scared to share it. Seriously, my shirt was completely soaked through. Like 20 minutes in, I had sweat going down the side of my face. It was incredible. But I pushed through it. And I'm mentioning that to you, not to get accolades about it. That's not what I'm doing. I'm mentioning it to you because I know that you do the same thing. I know that you do a live and you like, oh, that's so stupid. I should redo it. Oh my gosh, I have to get home. I can't redo it now. And you're nervous about it, right? I'll just press play. I know that. I get that. I know you do that. So today we're talking about the 7 things I would do to build $1 million store. If I woke up tomorrow and wanted to build $1 million store, here's exactly the 7 things that I would do. Are you ready? All right, dig in. So the first thing I do is the sexiest, most glamorous thing ever. It's the one that everyone kind of already does. I wanted to start off with an easy one for you. No, not at all. The number one thing I would do is know my numbers like a CFO. I would know those numbers. I'd do a profit first assessment and then build a real cash flow plan, making sure that I'm building money in all those different categories so that I have the money when I need it. No more crossing fingers on payday. Oh my goodness, I did that so much. No more just winging it with profit. You're like, oh, wow, look at that. There is a lot of money in the checkbook today. Oh, well, until then I would end up spending it more. Like that happened to me too. It's crazy. Yeah, you're right. It's the least sexy thing, but it's the most important thing. I put it off for way too long because I know numbers. I'm good at numbers, so everything's fine. No, it wasn't fine. There's a process for this. There's a science for this. When I think of how I handled this and how I could have done it differently. So that's why I talk about this all the time, because I had to learn the hard way and I don't want you to. And if you don't know how to do this, if it's confusing to you, there's more numbers than you probably know what to do with, right? You've got so much help around you. Reach out for help. Ask somebody. Swallow that pride of yours, because that pride of yours, it can get you right. I can't even think of a good analogy of where it could get you, but you don't want that outcome. That's not the reason why you started your business. One thing I often say when I speak, no one opened their retail store to be a nonprofit, right? And yet so many are. And everybody always laughs because I know how close to home that hits. I get it. Okay, so that's the first one, is I would know my numbers like a CFO and I would get help. I would invest money to make sure that my financials, my numbers were clean. It does all matter. It hides, right? Because you see your inventory, you see your social media, you see your emails, you see your team, you see all that stuff. You don't see this. It's the foundation, because if you can't pay for that stuff, it's all gone. Do not let your pride keep you from that, or whatever it is. You're being ashamed, whatever, get over it. We have seen everything, and yet it's fine. It's just numbers. It is all numbers, and we know what can happen. We know there can be change. You know, we offer retail bookkeeping too, but no pressure, truly. I just want you to get this. So that's the first thing I would do. That would have saved me so much time. I would have made so much progress. I would have hit my $1 million so much faster if I had done that. Number 2, oh, this is a popular one. Treat inventory like an investment, not a guessing game. It is an investment. I can remember going to Vegas one time for a trade show, and the Uber driver says to me, "What are you here for?" I said, "Oh, I'm here for a trade show." "Oh," I said, "will you be gambling too? Do you like to gamble?" Oh no. I said, "I don't really like to gamble." "You don't? Huh? Oh, okay. Well, what's your trade show about?" I said, "Oh, it's retail." He said, "Oh, you own a store?" And I said, Yeah. He said, Oh my goodness. He says, girl, you're gambling every day, aren't you? I never thought about it like that. And that was before I started working with an open to buy. And so, yeah, I totally was gambling every day. You can't do that. Don't gamble with your inventory. It's an investment that you can expect to create profit for you. You can't. You have to get crystal clear on how much inventory you need to support your sales goals, not just how much fills the store. I did that too. So I am not being critical or judgmental. I know this happens and it doesn't work. And stop overbuying because you just like something. When I say this, people always, DM me or whatever. I have to buy by my instincts. I have to buy what I like. Of course you do, but you should have a budget so you know exactly how much you need to hit your sales figures, and that's how much you buy. That's what you do. And so you're a big girl, and if you found something else that you loved, my beloved Jaliska glass, if you decide you have to have this and it's the last thing that you see on the last day of the trade show and you've already filled your open to buy, then you're going to cancel something else. That's what you're going to do. That's treating your inventory like it's an investment. I would track turn. I would track margin. I would track how fresh my inventory was, and which is the aging every single month. I would know those numbers every month, for not just for the whole store, although certainly start there. Hey, I'm all about any information is better than none, but ultimately get it where you're looking at all the different merchandise. I mean, and honestly, that's usually provided as part of open to buy. It's what we do all the time. And the thing is that I want my inventory working as hard as I am. I don't want it sitting around lazy and falling asleep everywhere. If that piece of inventory of mine won't go, then I'd be marking it down to make it more attractive to someone else so I can bring in something that will go at full price. The earlier you take that first markdown on an item that's not moving is where you will get the most action on it. You'll move the most of them out and you'll keep the most profit, always, without fail. We have so many other episodes that talk about that, so don't hesitate to look at them. Oh, because the thing is, like every dollar that's invested in that inventory that's being lazy and not moving around, well, you want to get it out of there as fast as possible so you can invest it in something else that will turn faster. That's the point of it. People will say to me so proudly, oh yeah, no, I never have to take markdowns. No, and I get you don't want to be known as markdowns, as the markdown sale store. I get that. But there is no pride in never taking markdowns, because the pride comes in to when you can maintain a high maintained markup and a fast turn or really fresh new merchandise, the percentage of new merchandise that you have. I'm going to do another episode that goes into the math of all that for you geeks, but it matters so much. People come into your store all the time and they're like, so what's new? And things have to be new in your store. You have to have a strategy to move inventory in. That's your open to buy strategy. And then you have to have a strategy to move that inventory out in case it doesn't, because you're gambling, but treat it like it's an investment, right? Don't you love that? I love that analogy. Alrighty. Okay. This one, I'll be totally honest with you. This one was hard for me, and I realized why it's hard, and I'm going to share it. So number 3 is to build $1 million store right now, I would be a leader that builds a team that runs the store without me. Yep. I realized that when I first opened my store, I was dang proud of what I had done. And I also wanted to be needed. I did. And that's ridiculous. But you don't realize it all the time, right? And so that's fine. But once you know better, you do better, right? And now, if I opened a store now, even with one part-timer, I would train them like I was building $1 million team. I would be super intentional about it all. I'd get stuff out of my head and into systems so that the store doesn't fall apart if I'm not there, so that I can take a vacation, so that I can take a CEO day, and it's all right there for somebody else. That's the thing. I've never mentioned this before, but I came back. So I have 4 kids. My first one was before I had the store. So the other 3 were all after I had the store. I came back to work 8 days after they'd been born because they needed me at the store. I mean, that's crazy. I see how crazy that is now. So that's why I'm saying, learn from my mistakes. Another huge thing about building this team, is that I would stop doing $20 an hour tasks, and I would start doing $2,000 an hour strategy work. That's the fact. And you're listening, you're walking, you're whatever, you're watching me here, and you're like, ha, get out of town. You're crazy. That $2,000 an hour, like, what are you talking about? Okay, all right. So make it a number that's believable. But you cannot do everything because there is so much that only you can do. And that's what you have to be focusing on. We have a whole podcast coming up about that too. Reach out for help. Did I say that about the inventory? Because reach out for help about the inventory too. Sometimes you only do what you know, and so many retailers have got this wrong. Listen, we're happy to help. Number 4, if I was opening my store today, I would build my $1 million store by planning my marketing, being super intentional with every marketing move. I'd stop reacting and I'd start planning. I'd start planning my emails, my social media. I'd start planning events, all mapped out with intention. And I'd see how I could rinse and repeat them. And that is so much more effective than, hello, has anyone else like happened to go through something or get an email from a competitor and you're like, and instantly you read this and you're like, that is the best idea ever. Oh my gosh, everything I do sucks. I hate myself. Right? I know that sounds so dramatic, but I know you know. Don't even worry. It can be great to get other ideas sometimes, for sure. I'm not saying not to do that. But if it's triggering for you, turn it off, right? And make sure that you're being intentional about what you're marketing, that you're not just sitting there and, oh my gosh, it's 5:00. I haven't done a live today. I'm going to talk about this glass. Oh no, I've talked about this glass a million times already. But yeah, well, I'll find something different to say about it. I don't know. I'll no, plan it out. It's easier for everybody. And bonus, your team can help you with it, right? Do you see what I'm saying? That's the other part about it that's so powerful. I'd also focus on traffic driving events. We call them richer retailer events that actually bring people into the store where they're paying to be in your store for whatever's going on. And I want them to be actually measurable so you can see how much money you're making from this event. Sometimes it's also great just to do a little fun thing just in the store, but also do those. And I would stop worrying about doing all the things and instead double down because you have those numbers, right? You've been measuring it. Double down on what you see works for you. And don't be afraid to fail fast. Just try stuff and don't worry about it. But see what works for your best customers. Reach out for help if you need it, okay? All right, now we're on number 5. If I was going to open my $1 million store today, I would for sure want it to get to $1 million faster than it did because honestly, kind of just more fun to scale past that. And it's fun to have a team that's supporting you and going your direction. And are there fires? Of course, still. But number 5, I would create time blocks for CEO time. I would know that every Monday from 10 o'clock until 2, for example, that I was going to take those 4 hours. Maybe I don't even come into the store if I can think differently, if I can think more clearly in another place. I mean, it can be powerful to go to your local library or something like that. Be someplace where you can work and know before you go what you're going to do. Spend half an hour before you get there. What is it you're going to focus on to do for those 4 hours? Block out that CEO time and hold that appointment with yourself because it's with the CEO of your store. If you worked for your store, you would, of course, make the meeting with the CEO of the store. My goodness, did I so undervalue what I did and my own worthiness, to be honest. I'm sure that was it too. Set that time aside so that you can create all these plans. They aren't just going to magically happen or magically appear on your doorstep. They aren't. During that CEO time, you're going to work on the business. You're going to set strategy. You're going to check metrics. You're going to track how your inventory is performing. You're going to track how your goals are, right? You're going to track all those KPIs. It's a critical time for you. And and to be honest, I misspoke. I said you should spend 4 hours doing it, like 10 to 2, I said. But the thing that everyone can do, yes, everyone can do, is start by setting aside 2 hours of CEO time. What I find tends to happen with us is that it can take us a while to kind of get ready and get in that creative space sometimes. That can be tough. And so that's why I find it's great to give it a little bit more time. But also, I know other people who say, we have clients who say, yeah, no, if I allow more time, I just let the work expand to fill the time. I don't feel like it's more productive. So find that out about yourself, right? And then the other critical thing, oh, I wish I had learned this sooner. Y'all, the other critical thing is to increase it by a minimum of 30 minutes every 3 months. I would tell you in a perfect world to shoot for an hour. Every 3 months, increase that time. Why? Because that's when then you can be sitting in there You can be looking at like, how is your calendar working? Like all this stuff. We do this fabulous best year yet planning palooza in January, and we talk about this a lot. We talk about how you have to take things off your list in order to be able to add new ones. Yeah, but I'm as guilty as the rest of you. I just went through this with my own coach, and I saw all this stuff that I hadn't taken off. So that's why you want to increase it every 3 months so that you can reevaluate it all and see what else you have to get off of it. Right? And what other new dreams do you have? Once you've got the marketing nailed down to a system, what else do you want to do? That's the thing that's so fun about all that, right? I want to dig into this just a teeny bit more, because $1 million store is not built by running errands and answering every customer's question. I'm not saying there's not a time for that. In fact, we just did an episode recently about, you're always talking about delegating and everything, but I really love being with my customers. How do I do that? Oh, no, there's a place for it. Listen to that episode. It's great. But the thing is that people will say, I'll talk about how they should have their marketing planned. And they're like, oh, I don't have the time. I so wish I did. And I get that. I really do. I'm not laughing at you. I get it completely. I was the same way. It's only actually really changed significantly for me recently. But you got to start somewhere. That's the point, right? What you don't see is that you completely do have time. You're just spending it in other areas. That's the thing. As always, I'm going to tell you to reach out for help if this is what you need help with. Reach out. Number 6, to get to the $1 million faster, I'd create an experience and a world that makes my customers want to come back. It's not just about the store looking great. And as retailers ourselves, like, we'll walk around and we'll just, oh my gosh, Anthropologie is so beautiful, blah, blah, blah. But truly, that's not the only reason people come back. It's because of the things that they do. It's because of how they feel when they're there. And for sure, some of it is the aesthetics. I'm not disagreeing with you about that. But I would want to design my store's environment with intention, from the music to the merchandising to the team's energy. Like, that matters too. To cute little adorable things you can do. So our family's lake house is up in Union Pier, and we go to Postboy, which is a restaurant in New Buffalo, Michigan. Do you know what's so cool is that when you get your check, you also get a Postboy postcard. And so you can fill it out there and they'll mail it for you. And it was like, oh my gosh, oh, that's a really cute idea. That's fun. Interesting. Honestly, I didn't really give it another thought until I got one of the emails from one of my kids who went there for dinner. I was like, oh my gosh, they were thinking of me. That's so sweet. That certainly makes me want to come back to that place again, right? Or how about our client Cadence with Fuzzy Goat? And whenever you are done finishing a project, you get to go up and ring the bell in her store that you finished a project. And everyone knows what that means, right? You're for sure going to go back to ring that bell. I can totally get it, right? Do you see how the space makes people feel a certain way when you utilize things in a certain way? And can you see how these little touches can make people feel about your business long after they've been there? But it makes them want to come back, right? Oh my gosh, I know. Let me know what you do, what works in your store like that. I want to know. Leave me in a review or DM me somewhere, because I would love to do a podcast episode sharing this with other people, because we can all benefit from each other. A rising tide raises all ships. And that's exactly what we can do here, is by giving each other all of the ideas. So let me know, okay? Or you can go to our Facebook group, Retail Mavens FB for Facebook.com, and you could enter the idea there. I'm so excited to hear what it is that you do. All right. Number 7. We're down to the last one, my favorite number. What I would do to build $1 million store faster and easier than I did before is learn to lead myself well. That's right. I would learn to think like $1 million store owner. You know how this goes. You know how it's like, first, it's how you think creates what your beliefs are. Well, I know some people argue it goes back and forth, but what you think is what you believe, which creates your actions, right? For you to think like $1 million store owner now is going to change some of your beliefs. It's going to force you to address, oh, I'm not entirely comfy with this idea. Do I not think I'm worthy to be that? Well, so great. That gives you something you can work on, right? Do you see what I'm saying? That's why it's so important to do this. Or let's say you don't know what steps to take. You're like, I don't see how I can afford another part-timer. Reach out for help. You know you need one. That's the first step of thinking like a $1 million store owner. A woman who knows that her actions tell her truth. That just is so powerful. Such a powerful thought, right? That your actions tell your truth, whether you believe it or not. So never stop learning about yourself. I think that entrepreneurship is the greatest self-discovery course you'll ever take. And it's a long journey, but it's wonderful. Self-knowledge allows you to be the best version of yourself, and it allows you to shine your light so brightly into the lives of others. When you lead yourself well, you can lead your team better. And you can lead your customers better. You can't believe how far reaching it is. And you just have to think about what that looks like to you, right? What I want you to just focus on is that when what your actions are shows that reveals your truth, right? When I shared this with my coach, she said to me, sometimes, Cathy, as in your case, your inactions are telling you where your faith is lacking, is telling you where you don't believe. Your inaction is telling you where you're coming from a place of scarcity instead of abundance, where you think there's not enough for everybody. Ouch. But I was so grateful. That's why I have a couple of different coaches to help in different areas, because you know what a coach does? A coach compresses time. It allows you to get there faster. That's the fact. If you can work with someone that's gotten to where you want to be, they'll help you. They've made so many mistakes already. They help you get there so much faster. Actually, I talked about treating your inventory as an investment. You've got to treat yourself as an investment. You really do. This $1 million is not just about the money. It's about so much more than that. It is about the money. It's about being a richer retailer in every sense of the word, but it's also about having more impact. That's the point, right? You're helping more customers when your sales increase, and they're loving it, right? And it's so fun to bring all that joy. The one last thing I wanted to say about this point is that this is a journey, like I said. And I have found that when I review this once a week, when I sit down for 20 minutes or so, I find less than 20 minutes doesn't really work. I don't ever let myself go longer than 30 minutes usually. But when I sit down and intentionally think about how things went last week, what went well, what could go better, that framework is really powerful. And now I've added, and how did my actions or my inactions show what I truly believe? And is that true? Do I need help from someone to help me change that? Because then I'll reach out for help. You have to do that, right? The thing is that you'll continue to see how your thought, your belief, and your actions will keep growing. They'll keep growing, and you'll see it every week. It happens so small. For those of you that are moms or no babies or no kids, it takes a while. You don't even notice that they're growing, and all of a sudden, they're a lot bigger. That's the same thing with personal growth. It rarely ever happens overnight. It's a slow process. So journal it, track it somehow, or speak it, whatever. Remove any friction. I want you to be able to see how your actions are growing and you're creating the richer life you've been looking for. Because as you do that, that will create momentum for you to continue to go forward. That's why we celebrate what our gains are. Every time we get together as a community, we celebrate wins, because everyone benefits from it, right? Okay, so my very last point about this is what to do with all this great information, if I say so myself. I mean, I thought really hard about what I would do, and I know that these can help, that these will get you to $1 million. And that's what our new mission is, right? 100 store owners, and help them create stores, businesses that do $1 million and more in sales profitably and sustainably. That's what our goal is. I'm so excited about it because people don't ever talk about it that way. And that's what's critical. So now what you have to do is, of those 7, go back and review them. You can go to the show notes and take a look at it all. Which one, just look at them all and just think to yourself as you read them, which one is the biggest lever that would make the greatest impact? Which one is it? I find that most people know. The only thing I would ask yourself as a side note is, am I saying this because I'm afraid? Like, that's the only thing I would just ask really quick. Like, or do I really believe that this is what I need? And then just focus on it for 90 days. Yeah, focus on it for 90 days. That's what we're doing now with all of our clients. We have these 90-day focuses. It makes such a difference because we don't remember anything. Right? And so when you focus on this, you're going to write it down on a pad of paper. You're going to do whatever you need to do to make sure that that information is in front of you, and you're going to take steps towards it. And you're going to be journaling about it every week, right? I'm actually rooting for number 7, not because it's my favorite number, but leading yourself well, to learn to do that and to think like a business that does $1 million and more. It seems small, perhaps, just to think that way, but the smallest hinge can swing the biggest door, right? Isn't that so true? It can create the change for you. It can create the lifestyle that you want if you just figure out and get out of your own head about it. You'll be able to get that richer retailer life that you've dreamed about, the reason why you started your store, and reach out for help. Now, listen, we're honored to help you. You can go to YouTube. There's actually a great book about time called Buy Your Time Back by Dan Martell. I mean, there's things about it that kind of bug me, but the theories of it are really great. There's podcasts, like mine. There's a lot of really good podcasts. Let me know if there's one you want to hear. Let me know if there's a specific question that came out of here, because that's what I want to do, is I want to co-create this with you. Like, so what would help you get to that next step? Tell me, I want to know. And about AI, because AI can help. The thing to make sure that you're being very intentional about is the prompt you're using, because you have to tell AI the kind of store you are. You have to tell it where the type of store, like, are you on a main street? It needs all that information. You need to talk about, what it is that you're specifically looking for, what your goals specifically are. And then you can ask if they think that, are your goals big enough? Are there bigger goals you should be shooting for? That's a good question to ask. But you just want to make sure that you're getting the information that you need about your store. And I have found that just sometimes that's tricky, to be absolutely honest with you. And there's lots of good people out there, for sure. Lots of good people. You'll get there so much faster when you're talking with someone who has already been there, who has done the work and therefore has failed. So they've made mistakes, so they can alert you to pitfalls before you get there, right? But remember, listen, don't leave yet. I have one last really crazy thought that my coach said to me today. She said, I'm going to read it to you. Remember, only listening to ideas becomes toxic. I was like, that's sounds so dramatic. And she says, no, think about it. She said, if you just listen to all this and don't take action anywhere, then that's just sitting there in your mind, taking up space in your mind. And you should do something. And I trust your instincts about what it is you think you should take your first step on, and try it for 90 days. You're going to be measuring things. You'll know if it works or not. So if you don't take action, sit with yourself and journal about why, or talk about why, or think about why, whatever. It's handy to have a record of it, but whatever works for you. So if you're not going to take action, figure out why, because I don't want this to be toxic. I don't want it to be sitting in your head being something that you should be doing. And because I don't want you to feel guilty about any of this. I just want you to get the results in the life that you want, as you want to. But I care so much about your success and have so many tools for what you can do. And I have been through that process. And so when someone has succeeded and failed, you get there faster. I really can guarantee that. But again, I did not mean to only push myself. I did not mean that at all. I am cheering for you and I am praying for you. And if no one has told you today, you are absolutely astonishing and you are loved.